With Halloween approaching, we're hitting the Mississippi roads in search of spooky cemeteries and interesting stories. Today we're visiting Rose Hill Cemetery in Brookhaven, Mississippi. There's a lot of interesting aspects to this graveyard, but I was shocked to discover its connection to John Lennon, songwriter from the Beatles. But we'll get to that later. As you can see, this cemetery has a most spooky vibe, with its gates that look straight out of a Tim Burton film, its extremely old monuments, and the creepy trees that dot the property. The cemetery sits in the shadow of Brookhaven High School. Irony that is not lost on me. I can imagine students at the start of their lives looking out at a field of those who's lost theirs. This graveyard features a lot of diversity. One feature is a pauper's field for families who could not afford an elaborate burial. In the early days, there was no cemetery fence, so livestock would wander in and sometimes destroy the monuments. This led caretakers to build iron fencing and other barriers. Rose Hill also features a Jewish cemetery, which is technically a separate graveyard. This section has its own gate and includes Hebrew text as well as English. This section is set apart by markers which feature the Star of David. Most of the gravestones also feature English and Hebrew script, and many of them date back to the late 19th and early 20th century. But perhaps the most famous permanent resident of Rose Hill is Ruth Elizabeth Ford. Ruth was not only a Hollywood actress from the golden age of movies, but also a trendsetter and friend of Hollywood luminaries. Not only that, but Ruth was staying at the Dakota Hotel in New York City on December 8th, 1980, the fateful day John Lennon was murdered by an obsessed fan. Ruth was actually the first person to dial 911 upon hearing the gunshot. Of course, sadly, it was too late. If you enjoyed this, please leave a like and a follow.